Hey guys, so I'm here today with my August wrap-up. In the month of August, I managed to read 9 things, which was a decent amount. I would have liked to have read more and more and more, but that's what I was able to do. So I'm going to tell you about the books that I read in the month of August. I'm going to start with the book that I liked the least, and then I'm going to work my way up. So I only have one book that I gave 2.5 stars out of 5, and I also have just one book that I gave 5 out of 5. So let's get started. The first book, which had a 2.5 rating, was Sabriel by Garth Nix. I thought the concept was promising, and I think I am going to continue on with the rest of the Abortion trilogy. However, I did not like Garth Nix's writing. I thought this book was really boring. I thought like nothing happened, like nothing was properly explored, or like things were not done the way that I would have liked them to be done. So I just didn't click with it. It was a personal thing, but I didn't give it less than 2.5 because I can see the promise and the potential in this book. Next, with 3 stars, I have When You Reach Me by Rebecca Stead, or Steed, I don't know. This is a middle grade book, and I think it's the kind of book I would like to go back in time to read. I would like to have read this when I was maybe 10, or like somewhere from 10 to 15 or something. But right now, I guessed and figured out the plot twist way before the plot twist came, so it wasn't really surprising. It was good, and I can definitely see why a lot of people are like, whoa, I mean, mind blown. Yes, I can see it, but it was just not that great for me. Then with 3 stars, also, I have Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I think I should do a full review on this book because I think it's a good, fun ride. That it is. And I definitely had a good time. I enjoyed myself while reading it. It's a real page-turner. I loved the adventure, thriller aspect of it, but on the other side, I think there are some issues with this novel. And ultimately, it was just not that memorable. Like, I will really remember the experience of reading it, but I think this book could have been done so much better. And there are some really important themes, particularly the dystopian, philosophical issues, and how it talks about like the human condition and all of these things that are sort of mentioned in the book, but we only get to see like a surface, like a tiny surface of something that could have been potentially a really deep and ultimately more satisfying explanation or hypothesis about human nature. So I just think it was okay. So I gave it 3 stars. Then with 3.5, After the Quake, a collection of short stories by Haruki Murakami. I have read very little things from Haruki Murakami, and I have really enjoyed all of them. This one I think was really interesting. I really liked how I felt as I was reading that nothing really was happening, but at the same time I could not stop reading. Like, I was very immersed and I was really enchanted by the writing, and I just really liked it. It was so weird, but in a very accessible way. I always think like Haruki Murakami is going to be super hard to read or super hard to follow, but that hasn't been the case with me. He is just weird, like surreal, like magical realism, surrealism, but ultimately it is pretty enjoyable. Then with 3.5, I have Bird Box by Josh Malerman. This is a thriller, a very psychological thriller, a dystopian as well. It's really entertaining. I really have to give Josh Malerman like kudos for writing this book in such a way that was just the most engaging thing ever. I read this book in one sitting, and I'm a very hyperactive person. I really can't read books in one sitting, even if I want to. But this one achieved it. I was just dying. I was dying. I will say, I was going to give this book like 4 stars, but then the ending was really wrong for me. I didn't like the ending. The ending was a happy ending. I'm not going to spoil it or say why, but I just didn't like the ending. I didn't like how I felt like the author could have gone somewhere a lot darker and somewhere that felt more according to the rest of the novel. Like, it just felt very unbelievable, very disjointed. Like, I didn't believe it. Like, I feel, yeah, just the ending was not satisfying. It actually kind of takes away from the rest of the book, but still, it was a very fun ride, so I gave 3.5 to that one. Then, also with 3.5, I have Without Feathers by Woody Allen. Woody Allen is one of my favorite writers, screenplays, directors, and just one of my favorite people, really, in the world. And he is just such a creative genius. I absolutely adore him, his whole style, and his whole view of the world and of the human condition. I really agree with most of what he has to say and has to offer. And this little book is a collection of essays, short stories, and plays, which are really funny, hysterical, ridiculous, dark, you name it. There's pretty much everything in this book. My favorite thing about this book is a theater play called God. And it's quite a long play because it's like 60 or so pages of the book. I mean, it's, let's say, it's 100 and it's almost 70 pages of the entire book. And that really has to be one of the best things I have read in my entire life. So there were some stories and some essays here, some vignettes that didn't quite hold up and they just weren't as good as the rest. But I would just recommend this book just for that play alone, the play God. Really, I mean, just pick this book up for that play. That's just worth your money. Then with 4 stars, I have Very Good Lives, the fringe benefits of failure and the importance of imagination by J.K. Rowling. This is the commencement speech that she gave at Harvard University some years ago. And what can I say about this book? Like, I could not give it less than 4 stars because it's J.K. Rowling. I agree with everything that she says here, and it's such a beautiful piece of work, and such beautiful illustrations and everything. It's just, I couldn't give it 5 stars because it's what it is. It's a speech. It didn't quite get the 5-star rating. Also, with 4 stars, I have M is for Magic, a collection of short stories and one poem, I think, by Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman is becoming not just a favorite author, but like something like a mentor or like a fatherly figure or something for me. Like, I just love him to death. And this collection of short stories was fantastic. There were just a couple of stories that weren't as fantastic as the rest, but they were still pretty damn good. But there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stories in this collection that were just absolutely magically perfect. So I would highly recommend this if you're looking for short stories. And finally, the book that I gave 5 out of 5, also by Neil Gaiman, is The Ocean at the End of the Lane. This book was just perfection. It is now one of my favorite books of the entire year, and also one of my favorite books ever, period. So just read it. It's nostalgic, it's for adults, but it has to do with childhood and nostalgia and the aggressiveness and just horrifying thing that childhood can be, and at the same time the wonderful, beautiful, magical time that it is. So I would just recommend this. I couldn't recommend it enough. Now, for my September TBR, I would like to finish reading Vicious by V.E. Schwab, which is the book that I am currently reading right now. I am kind of halfway there, and I am enjoying it. I could not say that I am loving it like everyone else is, but I'm really liking it. And I'm also planning on reading some books, like some books. I don't want to set a very strict, rigid TBR because I don't work that way, but I do have a couple of books that I think I might be able to actually get around reading in September, because September is going to be such a chaotic, really difficult month, complicated month. Right now I'm starting work again, I'm starting term, I'm starting my master's degree, so it's going to be really, really busy. I will only be able to read in the weekends if I ever get time. So I only want to read Vicious. What else? I want to read The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Shape of Her Own Making by Catherine M. Valente. I also pre-ordered a copy of The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness, so I have to read that one. I would also like to read a couple of shorter books, or very lyrical, very humorous books, because they're just faster paced. So I would like to read Side Effects by Woody Allen, which is another collection of short stories and essays and stuff. I would like to read The Opposite of Loneliness by Marina Keegan, which is also a collection of short works. And if I have time, I would also like to read Psycho by Robert Bloch, which is the book that the movie Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock is based on. And it's really short, and I started reading the first 2 or 3 pages, and it seems very easy to get through. So that's all I want to read in September. If I get to read all of those things, I will be more than pleased, because like I said, it's going to be a really hectic month. And then October might be a little bit easier, and I have already a list of required reading, or books that I really want to read before the year is out. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.